everyone. So we just finished one part of 11.3. So now I'm going to move into a little bit more of the second part to help explain it a little more in depth. So we just finished on 496 the example of the Think and Grow up at the top. And now I'm at 496 and I am doing the Show and Grow. So what I like to do when I'm looking at number lines like this and how to split them up, I like to use multiple colors. That's kind of what I did in the first part of this video, and that's what I'm going to continue to do here. So I'm going to focus on one of the two fractions first, okay? So I think the first one I want to look at is splitting everything into thirds. So I'm going to take one color, and underneath my 0, because it gives me the thirds right there. So underneath my 0, I'm going to write 0 thirds. And then I need to split this section from 0 to 1 into 3 equal parts. So that's going to be adding in 2 tick marks. Okay, so I've got 1 equal part, 1 equal part, 2 equal part, 3 equal parts. So now what I need to do, if you think back to chapter 10, is I need to label my tick marks or my equal shares. Okay? So adding 1 unit fraction to 0 thirds gives me 1 third, then 2 thirds. Keep adding, 1 is also equivalent to 3 thirds. What I do to the left side, I also need to do to the right side, okay? So I'm going to split 1 to 2 into 3 equal shares. And adding 1 unit fraction, I have 4 thirds, 5 thirds, and then 2 wholes. I'm still adding a 1 unit fraction will give me 6 thirds. Okay, so that's how the book gave you some of those numbers. And then the 1 is equivalent to 3 thirds and the 2 is equivalent to 6 thirds. Now let's do the 6th. Okay, and the same thing, they started off with 0, 6. And then I need to split from 0 to 1 into 6 equal shares, okay? I already have it divided into 3 equal shares, so it shouldn't be too hard to go in and add 3 more ticks to give me 6 equal shares. Then I've got 4, 6, 5, 6. So if you see, some of my equal shares are sharing the tick marks with my thirds. So like 1 third is equivalent to 2 6, 2 thirds is equivalent to 4 6, and then 1 whole is also equivalent to 6 6. And again, what I do to the left side, I have to do to the right side. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to split my thirds into 6, and I'm going to keep adding. So I have 7 6, 8 6, 9 6, 10 6, 11 6, and then 2 wholes is equivalent to 12 6. Okay? So that's kind of what our number line looks like. And then the second half of this problem, it gives us 1 is equal to something over 1, equal to a fraction over 2, equal to a fraction, fraction over 3 equal to a fraction over 6, okay? If you remember back up at the top, at the very first example that we did, it says 1 whole divided into 1 part is written as 1 over 1. So that's what this is, 1 over 1, okay? Now I'm going to look at my thirds. 1 whole equals something along my thirds. 1 whole is equivalent to this fraction right here. So 1 whole is also equivalent to 3 thirds. Okay? Well, my top number line is talking about 6. So not only is my 1 whole equivalent to 3 thirds, but it's also equivalent to 6 sixths. Okay? And we're going to do the same thing with 2 wholes. So I've got my 2 equals something over 1, equal to something over 3, equal to something over 6. Okay? Well, again, back at that first example, 2 wholes can be divided into 1 equal part, can be written as 2 over 1. Okay? That's what we have right here. We've got 2 over 1. All right. Now I'm looking at my thirds again, so I have to go over to where I have 2 equal wholes divided into my thirds, which is equivalent to 6 thirds. And then looking at the same thing for my sixth, it is equivalent to 12/6. Okay? So when you turn the page and you're on 497, number 2 is just like this example that we just did, but instead of having 0, 1, and 2, you have 2, 3, and 4, okay? So your whole numbers might change, all right? And that's okay. Your adding of your tick marks and your dividing into fractions and labeling your fractions does not change during this period at all. The only thing they're changing is what the whole numbers are equal to, okay? So pay attention to that. For numbers 3 through 5, okay, so for numbers 3 through 5, it gives us the whole number and then 2 fractions with only the denominator. So I'm going to do number 3, where it says 2 is equal to something over 3 and something else over 6. All right. You can do this a couple different ways. Again, you can always use your fraction strips. Fraction strips, drawing pictures, very helpful. Since I don't have fraction strips, I'm going to keep using my number line, okay? So if I'm here and I have my number 1, which is also equivalent to 3 thirds, okay? So then I'm going to go 4 thirds, 5 thirds, and then this would be 2 or 6 thirds, okay? So right there at my 2, I have 6 thirds, okay? But it's also equivalent to something of 6, okay? So if I have 1 or 6 over 6, this will be, oh, not that one. It would be 7/6, 8/6, 9/6, 10/6, 11/6, and then here I would have 12/6. So that is one way to look at it. Another way you can think is if I know that 1 is equal to 3 thirds. Actually, here, let me erase. So if I know that 1 whole is equal to 3 thirds, and I need to get to 2, I'm just going to add another 3 thirds, okay? Because I need 2 3 thirds, which equals 6 thirds. When we're adding fractions, if your denominators are the same, you're not adding the denominators, you're adding the numerators. So we do the same thing with 12. So if I know 1/6, if I know 1/6 is 6 over 6, I'm just adding another fraction set of 6/6 to give me 12/6. So you can do the same thing with number 4 and number 5, okay? But now when we're looking at 6 through 8, it gets a little, in my mind, trickier. I find it easier to find the fraction than I do the whole number. So for 6, 7, and 8, they're giving you the fraction, and they need you to find the whole number, okay? So we've got a few options here. Looking at number 7 right away should be kind of a gimme, because we know when the numerator and the denominator are the same, it doesn't matter what it is, it always equals 1 whole. Always, okay? So that's number 7. That one's fairly easy. But now let's look at number 6. Okay? So we have 16 halves is equivalent to 8 ones, which is equivalent to what whole number? Okay, well, I'm going to kind of think back to what we did on 496, okay? Where if I know that 2 wholes divided into 1 equal part can be written as 2 over 1, all right, well, I'm just going to swap out that 2 for the number 8. If I know that 8 wholes, I have 8 wholes divided into 1 equal part is written as 8 over 1, that whole number has to be 8. Okay? Another way that you can think of it is 16 divided by 2 is 8. Or 2 times 8 gives you 16. Okay? There's multiple ways to do it. You also can draw it out on a number line, but you'd be drawing for quite a while because you would have to go, so you would have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I've got my 8s there, my 8 wholes. How many hops of 1 do I do? Well, to get to 8, my 8 is my numerator because this would be 1 over 1, 2 over 1, 3 over 1, 4. I would have to do 8 hops, okay? Now if I wanted to look at it in the form of halves, so this would be okay, so I would just add a unit fraction of 1/2 to each one. So this would be 4 halves, and it's split like this. 5 halves, 6 halves, 7 halves, 8 halves, 9 halves, we're still going, so I'm at number 7, like the whole number 7, and I'm at 14 halves. So we're going to keep going, 15 halves and 16 halves, okay? So that's another way to plot it. Both of my fractions that I'm looking at are right here, my 8 over 1 and my 16 over 8, so my whole number is 8, all right? Like I said, it gets complicated. There are more than one way. There's more than one way to solve all of these. So if drawing it out using different colors is helpful for you, do that. If it's more helpful to count up your fraction strips, awesome. If you are one in even our lesson from 11.1 and you understood the multiplying by 2 or dividing by 2, whatever works for you, okay? Like always, if you have any questions, shoot us an email, comment below, whatever you need. Keep in touch. Good luck, guys.